Yeah. And Laval is going to change up their strategy. It looks like they are going to throw out what seems to be a tempo mage. A lot of times Water Elemental is substituted for cards like Paladin Shredder. In this deck, if you think you're going to face more weapon-oriented classes.
Or just Druid in general.
Or just Druid, yeah. Getting rid of their hero power is a pretty big deal, making Force of Nature Saboteur do 12 damage instead of 14.
Well, something else, too, is that if you just think about the minion combat, if Mage can take the initiative here, and Druid's the one having you trading, running minions into a Water Elemental it's terrifying. It's like the last thing you want to do, because not only do you not effectively attack a 3/6 minion with a bunch of 4/5s, but they can't attack the turn after that either. It really takes a lot of power out of your side of the board and yields them even more initiative. But if you look at Laval, the fact they've drawn this mirror image, I would expect this to be a little bit more early game oriented than relying on power of Water Elementals to try to get to those late game turns, find Archmage, find Dr. Boom, and hope they can close afterwards.
Tossing back one Innervate because they really want to find minion curve, and they found a minion.
They switched it up. They changed from aggro druid, it seems, and went more towards a mid-range.
I was anticipating potentially a switch here, but I'm not sure. You know, the aggro druid also is very susceptible to Flamewaker, so it does feel like you have to be very fortunate, and the mage would have to start off inconsistent to feel like aggro druid has a really good edge early on in this matchup. I do like to switch to mid-range druid, and even though it's a tough matchup, it's not unwinnable by any means.
Also, Fel Reaver gets countered by so many things that Tempo Mage does.
Yeah.
Mirror Image, lots of cheap spells, Frostbolt. There's just so many cards that will just mill through your entire deck the moment you play Fel Reaver, or just make your life super frustrating.
Even the potential for a spare part to be the emergency coolant. I mean,
sure.
That's like the nightmare spare part
It
for
is,
Fel
it
Reaver.
really is, yeah.
That's the break glass in case of emergency part that you need versus Fel Reavers.
It's almost as worse as Shaman just chaining 4 Stoneclaws in a row when you have Fel Reaver up.
Man. Or you just have Jessica Trueheart.
You and I were,
that's true, yeah.
You and I were playing that game yesterday against Shaman, where they actually got the 2 Tunnel Trogs out. The new one, it gets +1 attack for each Overload.
The new League of Explorers.
He had 2 of them
coined it out.
Yeah, he just lightning stormed. No minions on our side of the board just to get 4 more attack, and he just beat us up. He killed us in like turn 4.
Well, it was like Tunnel Trog 1, Tunnel Trog 2, turn 2 Ancestral Knowledge to get 3 3s, and then on turn turn 3 is recovery, and turn 4 just like lightning storm the MP board, so you just get +2.
It's like Savage Roar with Overload.
You don't get to attack with your hero.
Yeah. You can use a Rock Biter to simulate it.
Oh, Shaman, how the mighty have fallen. Well, you have 2 Innervates, and you have a 7-drop, but you don't exactly have the perfect response on turn 4. Like, you have Keeper of the Grove to something. Do you feel like you want to save these Innervates, or do you want to just cash in now so you can put a 5/10 or 10/5?
Well, I think a lot of it just comes down to they don't really know what mage deck they're playing against yet. I mean, when you see turn 2 hero power, you know, a lot of times you can assume that this is Freeze Mage. So, you know, kind of looking at this, do they think that just playing a Sludge Belcher is going to be able to have the pressure? And I would think so, but the really interesting thing to talk about this turn is we see Ancient of War a lot of times creep up in mid-range decks, especially when aggro decks start to become more popular. But when you see the Zombie Chow in here as well, this feels like a very late-game dedicated deck that really wants to drag this one out, basically as long as it can.
Yeah, and one thing I want to talk about too is we saw with mulligan strategies, you know how when it gets to a certain point, players will hold on to their mulligans to not give anybody a chance at any informational advantage. We've seen that with deck changes too throughout the Collegiate Hearthstone Championship as we move forward, where players will take up their allotted 5 minutes in between to switch up their decks and not make any changes, just to sort of mind game their opponent or not give them any informational advantage as to what they're doing. So it's pretty cool, and you saw Laval take their whole time last turn, and so who knows, maybe Brandeis was thinking they were mind gaming them, maybe they were thinking that they were going to switch it up to something like Tempo Mage. It's a pretty interesting dynamic that gets added when sideboarding comes into effect.
How often do you see cards like Knife Juggler in a Tempo Mage these days admirable?
Well, if you're going to play a Mirror Image, I think it kind of makes sense to just have that little bit extra power. You know, having Knife Juggler obviously signals a lot more 1-drops and 2-drops as well, just kind of small stuff in there. So it is definitely a unique choice, but not unprecedented. But kind of going right along with what we said last year about Brandeis, that Zombie Chow really indicating the late game. This druid has an antique heal bot in it also.
Please let it have Reno Jackson. That would just be so cool.
We didn't really think about that, actually. I mean, the fact that we've seen Zombie
two innervates.
Antique heal bot. Well, 2 innervates is a common one to have in there because you're always going to keep innervate in your opening hand.
Yeah.
The Ancient of War, I mean, if we see like 1 or 2, and the Sludge Belcher in here, if we see like 1 or 2 more unique choices.
Like a Sunwalker?
Yeah, that's going to scream Reno Jackson afterwards.
What's the Master Jouster? Is that what it's called?
Sunwalker is probably just better. But you know,
you sure about that?
Because he has Zombie Chows, and every time I play Master Jouster, you know what Master Jouster says on its card text? It says, reveal a Zombie Chow in your deck.
Summon a 5/6.
No, that's it. Just reveal a Zombie Chow in your deck.
If you only have 1 Zombie Chow, though, is it hitting Zombie Chow every time? And then what if you draw
if you're holding Zombie Chow, shuffle into your deck and reveal it. And then draw Zombie Chow.
What a sick card.
Hey, I drew a Zombie Chow off of that. I'm happy.
Yeah. Throw it into Mirror Entity.
I can tell one person that's not happy, or 3 people that probably aren't happy. It's dealing with the fact that Druid's able to cap out Innervate.
Yeah, I mean, having the Sludge Belcher out early, I mean, this is something Laval just isn't going to handle very well.
Oh.
It's like an Ancient of War. I mean,
but it's double war. I mean, we can take the idea that the absurd notion that it might be Reno Jackson, but what if it's just straight up ramp, like taunt Druid back in the day?
That's a possibility as well.
It's very grindy.
It's funny that you mentioned, like, I haven't seen that deck in months.
I mean,
there's some people that play it from time to time.
Maybe because of the fossilized raptor.
Which one?
It's not that new 8/8 taunt minion. If you have a beast, and Druid's been getting beasts.
Me and Evan were like, which card?
Druid's have been getting beasts.
They're gonna play fossilized raptors over Ironbark.
What if it's a beast? No. What if you want 3 Ironbark? No. What if you want 4 Ironbark protectors?
Whoa. We're going deep on this one. This is the hot new deck.
Let me tell you, you can have it for this low price of $7.99. You can buy the wing right now.
There
and
you
get
go.
4 Ironbark protectors in your deck.
Bingo.
My God. Well, there is a lot of options here for the mage, but what here is the best one?
That's a tough question. If that was an easy question, they would have taken their turn already.
The most you can get out of this Flame Waker right now is just an Arcane Missiles or a Flame Cannon. You can't really pair with Fireball. I'm trying to think for some fancy Sorcerer's Apprentice stuff too, but I don't really see it because the most mana you can gain from it is 2, which is the same as just playing the spell.
Yeah.
They can buy themselves, 1 more turn or 2 more turns. They can really make some things happen with the Flame Waker because they will have the cheap spells, but I don't know how long they can afford to hold on to it. They're going to have to use some spells here to try and clear.
That's not the target they wanted.
Actually, that's the worst target. Yeah. Oh, now Frostbolt, so you can just buy a little bit tempo.
Yeah, try and do what they can, but Ancient of War does such a good job versus these kinds of mage decks. I mean, they have to use multiple burn spells. That takes away pressure from your face. You follow that up with more big minions and then an anti kill bot. I mean, you're completely out of reach of stuff. The Tempo Mage is reliant purely on their minions afterwards. But we've already seen Mirror Image. We've seen Knife Juggler. That gives us a really heavy indication they're playing a lot more early game minions in general. I mean, how many big draws do they have left in the deck?
Sure.
Well, they do have Antonius at least. We saw that, I think, in the opening mulligan for the mages side. But for Brandeis, they just drew the Key to the Grove, and that is a full clear with quite the intimidating board and more juice. They have Ancient of War number 2 to follow up on.
Yep.
They really don't want to lose to any kind of aggressive strategy.
Yeah, now that Sorcerer's Apprentice is dead, Laval doesn't have that power play that they were probably hoping for with Flame Waker, Fireball, plus Arcane Missiles. Now they have to, break it up and decide between the two. They just have to Fireball this Ancient of War to take it out, but they're going to be so sad on the second one.
I think Brandeis is going to uproot this one.
I'm trying to think about the merits of uprooting, and they use Fireball and Frostbolt. So
Dan would uproot 100% of the time right here.
I would. I would. Just for the fact that you can brag about it.
Just get the style on him.
I mean, it's called for glory and scholarships.
I'm pretty
half of the guaranteed prize is glory.
That's right.
So,
well, with 2 Flame Wakers and an Arcane Missiles, I would assume that the uproot would die immediately.
Yeah.
Oh,
we'll see.
Yeah, those are not really my Arcane Missiles.
He would have been at 3 health.
And he would have been threatening lethal.
Yep.
If he had Savage Roar.
It's a shame, really.
It's a shame, but I don't think, they're really worried or anything right now. Their opponent just spent both their Flame Wakers, and they're going to be able to deal with it very reasonably with Swipe and using the Ancient of War. Some development on Shade of Naxxramas and Zombie Chow. And even in the case where they have Mirror Entity up on the Mage's side, Druid could just give them a 3/3 while still, reserving some of their health.
Yeah, I mean, they may even hold on to the Zombie Chow for that reason.
Yeah, that's also a possibility too.
But when you see Knife Juggler, a lot of times that means Mad Scientist isn't going to be there. You run out of room at that point. So they may choose to play it just to have extra stuff on the board. I still think they're going to hold it because what does it really do on this board? You have so much power out as it is.
Right.
You're just begging to get flame struck when you play the Zombie Chow here.
Yeah, and I guess one argument is, would you have lethal if you drew Savage Roar? And in this case, you would, because if you drew Savage Roar next turn, you beat one off.
Man, where does Savage Roar fit?
Yeah, do you think this deck even runs the Savage Roar?
Just one Savage Roar, no
just
Force
one?
of Nature.
Okay.
Just one Savage Roar.
This is the Dan actually designed this deck for Brandeis.
That's right.
He's been coaching him all week long.
No, I would assume at least maybe just one Force Nature, one Savage Roar.
Yeah. He's like, guys, it's basically like Lightning Storm with Tunnel Trogs.
Laval going to do what they can, but I think this is it's just not going to be enough. I mean, 3 6s and 3 2s do not fight the late game Druid power very well.
I mean, there is a case to be said though that there could be overextension with Flame Strike, which we are mentioning. I mean, Shade is not a closeout card just yet, so maybe Brandeis continues to just play very conservatively, give Mage some time to get something cool like Dr. Boom, and then you don't answer Dr. Boom, and then Boombots do magical, wonderful things, and then all of a sudden you're really behind on board again.
You had me at magical and you lost me at wonderful.
I've had some really good Boombots.
It's like a Julius Caesar moment right there. Everything's happy, then you get stabbed in the back.
It's 2.
Hey, 2 Boombot.
Yes, I will admit I have played Dr. Boom in my lifetime. I'm just confessing right here because a lot of you guys are just looking at me judgmentally right now.
I play Dr. Boom in every deck.
In every deck?
Every deck.
Freeze Mage. Dr.
Boom. Cut a Flame Strike. Boombot is basically Flame Strike.
And then
it's like 2 Flame Strikes.
For lethal, you Code of Cold your own Dr. Boom.
Hit him for 8.
Whoa.
It's guaranteed.
It's like an 8 damage fireball.
God. Just plays the Antique Healbot. I mean, it's the most mana that you can use this turn by doing so, not to mention that it's kind of the equivalent of playing Shade anyways. I can do like that. Not a bad start. Take up some other stuff to maybe fight back on, but Laval is falling really far behind the health count. Really far behind.
Yeah, I'm curious if they're worried about Force Nature or Savage Roar at all at this point. I mean, again, they've seen so much stuff that would indicate otherwise for that. I don't really think it's on their radar, but the Shade, it's going to continue to grow in this situation, and it's got to be frightening for Laval.
Yeah, unless they have teched in something like a Flame Strike in the Tempo Mage deck.
Which is very realistic.
Yeah, especially since it seems like they're running a secret list. So they do have a little bit more room for Flame Strike.
Yeah, you can see Brandeis actually, they look a little bit nervous here despite the way this game has been panning out. I think they're really heavily considering what happens if we get Flame Strike right here. Can we afford to lose to that?
Yeah.
Our opponent just drew 2 extra cards. They played Water Elemental. They're taking it slow. To me, it feels like they may even forego the Shade this turn.
It'd be a possibility. At this stage, you feel like you're so far ahead. What can they do to lose in this situation? That's got to be playing through their head.
And they drew Big Game Hunter for Dr. Boom too, so you are pretty safe to that one. Maybe you do go for this is like a do or die moment. It's like they can get punished one way by not putting enough pressure. They can get punished away by putting too much pressure.
Yeah, but I think generally speaking, you punish yourself too much. By not developing Shade, it's almost as if you give them Flame Strike in the hand, or some other removal spot, because you're giving them time, which is what this Mage needs in order to make a comeback. Arcane Missiles lands 2 on the Shade.
1 on the other Shade.
1 on the other Shade, and we have ourselves a brand new game. Let's check it out.
I think, do you attack first and just hope? I mean, that looks like what you have to have pan out.
I think you want to kill the Shade, the open Shade no matter what, right? The 4/4. So you can attack that and then freeze it in the worst case scenario, because you don't want to overkill it by 2 damage.
Right. So that's I'm thinking do you attack first if you're gonna Arcane Missile's turn. And then hope for Jackpot. I mean, 25%, 25%. Like, it's very low chance that the second shade, that the hidden shade's going to die right now.
Right.
But maybe that's just your best chance.
Dan said either way, they kill it next turn since they're freezing it, so they're making it vulnerable. Also, they're at 10 health. So they have to freeze that regardless of if they wanted to kill it or not, because it just would contribute to killing them the following turn if there was any type of burn spell.
Here we go.
Oh!
Wow.
Hello!
That is a critical strike from that Arcane Missile.
Oh, wow.
Shade's
They
gonna
still open up to Savage.
That's it!
Wow, Brandeis draws the 4 points of damage they need. It's not
my
quite
God.
Savage Roar, but it is a charged Druid of the Claw. They're going to take a 2-1 lead in this series.
Immediately punished for not taking more power off the board in that previous turn.
Yeah.
Laval was so close to that. I actually, honestly, look at the board state. I kind of like killing the anti-heal bot over freezing the
Okay.
shade. But they, like you said, just immediately punished. I mean, maybe that's something to think about here too, though. Like, if you freeze the shade, do you have a better recovery than just killing the anti-heal bot? Like, if you look at it just from a pure value